Okay.
And then when you get the email, just forward it to Chris or me, whatever.
Cool. All right, let me admit these people.
And then Claire's going to get on so you can give her co-host.
Cool.
And she'll help you for the first 20 minutes.
Okay.
Hello. All right, I'm out. Thanks, Nat. Text me if you need anything.
Thank you. Hi, Claire. I'm going to give you co-host.
Hi.
So you can help me with admitting people. Hi, Colleen.
Hi, Susan.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Oh boy, it was pouring out there.
Oh my God, it was like the ends of the earth.
I did some grocery shopping. I went to Trader Joe's on Route 17, and it was unbelievable. But the people that work there are so nice. They put the groceries in the trunk. Yeah, they said, go ahead, just go. They were very nice.
That is nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I go on this call to get a break from like all day on the computer, phone, computer. Hi, Patty.
Yeah, these things are growing into my ears.
I know. That's why I use the speaker.
Oh, oh my God. Nat, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Patty? It's good to see you.
Good seeing you. Susan, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
You know, I'm great.
That's
really,
that's important. That's good.
Yeah.
We're all home and safe.
We're all home and safe, and I have food. Hello.
I know. Oh, good.
I've got to put on my webinar glasses. Sorry.
You know what? Everybody I spoke to today is getting cabin fever.
There we go. Better. Yes.
It's hard when the weather is not good because then you can't even escape to the outside. You know, it's like you just have to walk around your house.
I'm depressed today because I love taking my walk when Tom comes home at night. That's like the highlight of my day.
You'll be able to do it today.
No way in heck am I going to do it today. It's going to be too cold.
And it's thunder. It was thundering before.
Oh,
yeah.
Horrible. Yeah.
Yeah, there's that on my front porch.
I got out this morning to get that walk in knowing what the forecast would be.
That was smart.
Now, I'm not always smart, so.
Is it supposed to be this way tomorrow too?
No, I don't think so. I'm just looking as I speak. Maybe rain at 4 o'clock, and then that's it, ladies and gentlemen. And then tomorrow sunny, but a high of 48.
Not bad.
Thursday cloudy and Friday rain again. So
I find if it's not windy, you know, you can do anything practically as long as it's not freezing, as long as it's not too windy.
I agree. I'll
Right?
get out when it's cold as long as it's not blowing in my face.
Exactly.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have a procedural question. Can we make sure that that people don't overtake the meeting like they did yesterday, and follow protocol, please, for questions?
I will try my best, Ira. I am
Thank you.
moderating today, so I will do my best.
Be stern.
Colleen, is Al coming on today or is it just me?
I think Alan's coming on.
Okay.
Well, that's a different name you have today.
You know, that's my son. He's been homeschooling and he goes on Zoom. So he changed my account to Riyanj Gandhi with a zillion exclamation marks. And if I stop my video, it's his picture.
Oh, I see. I see. Good. Good. He's getting big.
I know. Hi, Brian.
Hi, Sebastian.
Hi, Karen. How are you? Oh, I see you with the mask and all.
Yeah, how'd you recognize me?
Or your voice.
I just came up with really interesting. It was really good. Okay, I'm getting CE, free CE for us.
I'm
Hello?
not sure about that. All right, it's 3:00. We have Brian Martin today, the leader in MAPS coach. I mean, we're so lucky to have him today. I'm so excited. Brian, you're on mute. Brian.
No, unmute Brian.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, Brian.
I think
Yes,
you're
we
muted.
can.
Yeah. Rachel, you're muted.
Okay, here I am. So Brian is the #1 MAPS coach. If anybody doesn't know, MAPS is Mega Agent Productivity Systems. He's the #1 coach in MAPS coaching. He personally coaches Colleen Kossoff and Al Donahue, which is amazing. Now you know the credibility there. Al and Colleen are both amazing. He coaches top teams of KWRI and mega agents from all across the country. So we are very, very lucky to have Brian with us, spend 30 minutes. So Brian, if you're all on, the agents, if you have any questions for Brian, otherwise, what I'd like to cover with Brian today is, growth in the market center, talk about growth opportunities with our top agents. We have currently about 62 participants, and in about 15 minutes, it will definitely go up. But, it's all yours.
Yeah, I guess I'm curious. I'm curious for those of you that are, on here. First of all, thanks for having me on here. Love the partnership I've been able to have working with Colleen and with Al, and with Rachel and the other team leaders within Bergen County Partners. So first of all, any questions based on what you're seeing and what you're experiencing right now that I'm able to help with?
We may have to unmute some people. I just jumped on. I don't know if Rachel explained. She's going to run the call today. I have one of those telemed sessions, and I'm waiting for a text for it to start, so I'm going to have to jump off at any moment. So just pretend I'm not here, and Rachel's going to run everything.
Okay.
Claire, can you help me unmute people? I'm just trying to get Facebook started.
If you have a question, just unmute. I'd love to hear what you guys are thinking. What will be most valuable for today?
Maybe just raise your hand or put it in the chat so we can see you to unmute you.
I have a question, Brian. What does it look like in other parts of the country? I know that, everywhere it's different. I mean, so what's different and what's the same? Because I know you're in California and you coach all over the place.
Yeah, so I'm actually, I'm not in California anymore. So
No?
now I'm in Austin, yeah.
Okay.
But I was in California, yeah. So, so I work with people all over, North America, really. And we're seeing that people have in common is in most places, real estate, hold on a minute.
Wow.
Guys, can you mute yourselves if you're
Not
outside?
having a lot of feedback.
Unmuted so that this can be a session with people participating. But if you can unmute yourself, great.
I think the best way to do it is go back to muting everybody and then just raise your hand, because otherwise we're going to get
Oh my
feedback.
God.
There you go. We're good?
Yeah.
Unmute me. Sorry, this is starting off a little rough, but again, my fault for jumping on a little bit late. But Brian, did you have a chance, or Rachel, did you have a chance to introduce Brian, like what he is and who he does and everything?
I did, but
Okay.
no, you can go ahead too.
No, if you did already, I apologize. I'll shut up.
No
Okay,
problem.
so here's what I want to here's what I'd like to talk about today is what we're seeing, or what we have seen, right, is that there's challenges in the market. There's challenges in what real estate agents can do. There's challenges in what we can do as people. what I've seen recently in specific, in certain states, is they're starting to roll out plans of, of timelines of when they see things changing, right? So like the state of Georgia announced that in the next week, they actually see a lot more, businesses opening again and people kind of getting back and out of a shelter-in-place order. Here in Texas, they opened some more like retail stores and things like that, so you can pick up things curbside, not only essential services like supermarkets or whatever, but all different retail is actually allowed to be open again. I think that's this week. They opened up the state parks. There's still a shelter-in-place order, but they've definitely opened up who the businesses are that can be out there operating right now. And we're starting to see that more in different states. I even work with somebody that, they're in New Jersey, and their husband does like construction of a lot of the buildings in New York City, right? And they were deemed non-essential because it was getting so critical. They're going back to work this week also. So I think we're starting to see things that the restrictions that were put on, we're starting to see come off now. The reason I mention that is because I think we have, with everything that with any kind of uncertainty or any kind of, even if there's fear involved in it, there is a way for us to look at that and help people through it, right? So I can see many of you on your cameras, which is awesome. So how many of you got into real estate to help people? Yeah, a lot of people raised their hands, right? And I got a couple of thumbs up. That's cool. I'm one of those people too. I didn't get into it because I love homes. I don't. I love my home. I don't really care, if somebody wants to buy another home and I don't like it, that's okay. It's about the people. How do I help them, right? And this is a time that people need help. They need guidance. There's opportunities for us to reconnect with people or to connect with people in the first place. I think there's also, we're going to see some of the largest shift of market share in individual real estate businesses, as well as within brokerages during this time. And if I could explain, in a time of need like this, right? It's about, I'm sure you've heard on plenty of these calls before, it's about reaching out to our people. It's about connecting. It's about having care calls with them. So that when they have questions, you can help guide them, right? Well, if somebody is calling, for instance, if I called, one of your past clients and checked on them and asked them all these other things, they may call me when it's time to do something instead of you. I've never sold real estate in New Jersey, but again, it's about people and it's about caring about people. So I think what I'm seeing in agents kind of across the country, all different areas, is that it's really about the connection of people, and I think we have that opportunity in a couple different ways. So, raise some thoughts on that, or?
I agree with you. So, what would be the one suggestion that you'll have for our agents where they can help their fellow colleagues?
You mean, tell me more.
So one of the things that I have come to realize when I, make my care calls to within the organization and outside the organization, the stark difference that I've noticed is outside of the organization in Keller Williams, I see agents are lost. They don't have the support that we do. They don't have their owner coming on every day at 3 o'clock and, answering questions and being available. And, it's become almost a purpose for me to help them in helping them plug into as many classes and give them support that they're not finding anywhere else.
Yes, I think that's a big one. Obviously, during a challenging time, we're going to see, who steps up as a leader, who steps up to, to support the people that they care about. So that, just like we were just talking about, like from an agent to a client or to a customer perspective, we see that. We're also going to see that. I mean, I'll just tell you, like in working with this organization, I work with Keller Williams offices all over. I work with people that own, a lot of different businesses, multiple businesses, in the real estate sector. And I'm really impressed by the things that Al and Bergen County Partners we've been able to do here together, right? To have great leaders available on a call like this every day. It doesn't happen everywhere, right? It doesn't happen at the other brokerages in your area either. So I think a part of it is to think about that. Think about the people you've done transactions with that you respect, that would be a great fit here at Keller Williams. The other thing I would say is that all the team leaders that I've been able to work with in your organization are awesome, right? So I was an agent in Keller Williams, and then I was also a team leader. I've been a general manager. I've worked with all these different things, all these different groups, and now, of course, for years I've been coaching all different organizations. I don't know of a better organization that you could connect an agent to and feel confident to know that they're going to be taken care of, right? That they're going to be poured into, that their business is going to see, opportunities and everything else. So just today's profit share day. So I do think it's part of the message of like, are we taking advantage of the things that we see out there as opportunity right now? There are a lot of agents moving from other companies to Keller Williams right now. Capping agents, top producers from other companies are very open to the idea of moving to Keller Williams across the board in all different cities, all different markets, largely because, while we're having all these things to support agents, just like this call right now, many companies are being silent. Many companies are being quiet, right? So just like we would say, reach out to, your client database. I would say an easy thing to do is to include people in what you're already doing. So if I could explain that, every year at Family Reunion, Dick Dillingham has done this panel, and it's called Megas That Made the Move, right? So these are top producers in all different markets throughout Keller Williams that made a move to Keller Williams in that year. And he asked questions kind of like, what was the thing that made you like decide to join Keller Williams? What was the tipping point for you? And I've gone to this thing multiple years, and it's interesting. You think I would learn, right, after seeing it a handful of times, but I go to this panel all the time to hear this. And what they say overwhelmingly is the moment they decided to join Keller Williams, the tipping point for them was when they were actually able to experience it, right? When they were able to go to an event or be a part of something like we're on right now, right? Where people can actually are sharing what they do, they're sharing strategies, they're sharing kind of challenges and successes, right? And we're looking at how do we actually help each other? So in the past, that looks like events, it looks like training in person. I think it's easier now than ever to include people into the things that we're doing. And I've seen the list. You guys have stuff, multiple times a day, every day, right? I'm curious, how many of you would have a similar story to that? Like, the moment you decided to join Keller Williams was actually, you could actually remember like experiencing something in Keller Williams that was kind of hard to explain otherwise. Yeah, see some hands going up. Yeah, there's quite a few. And it's interesting to me because, like I said, this is something we've seen in top producers. It's something we're seeing right now. So I think part of it is including people into the things we're already doing. A second thing is, connect them with the team leaders, connect them with Colleen, connect them with Rachel, connect them with, I just keep looking at Rachel with this name on here. Anyway.
That's my son's name. I apologize.
I know. It's good. And I think that's a big part of it too, is we have people that are, have questions, they're looking for support, they're uncertain about what the future holds. We can help them, right?
Thanks, Brian. Brian, there's a question for you. What should the call sound like for FISBOs and expireds right now?
Well, do you think people have more questions or more answers right now? I think people have more questions, right?
Mhm.
So whether it's talking to our clients or talking to FISBO, talking to expired, anything else, I think it just has to start with, if I was calling somebody that was like an expired listing, right? It's no longer on the market. First, I would start, like, just personally, I would be looking at expireds if you can get expired information from a couple months ago. Who are the people that failed to sell in that market? And are they looking to sell, are they looking to sell now? Or do they have some version of the future? Do they have a crystal ball to know what the future looks like and a reason that they're not selling now? Because I think many people, that's exactly what we see in any kind of shifting market, even if it's a small shift, like a short-term shift or a long-term shift. People look at, like, what are the possibilities, and so I think that's how you help. And I think it just starts with any other care call, to call and say, you're checking on them, and we noticed you had your home listed for sale previously. Are you still interested in selling your home? Right? It's going to open a dialogue. We're still going to hear a lot of the same objections, I think, that we've heard in the past, right? That they're going to wait and see, right? So that's kind of like, if they're going to wait and see, then we have to look at, what do you predict about the future that is going to make the future a better time to sell than right now, or to sell, within the next month or whatever it is. Another objection you may hear is that they're planning on listing it with somebody else. So that's great. I'm glad you're planning on listing it. Could I put my name in the hat? Could I be somebody you consider when it comes time to actually sell your home? I think for sale by owners right now, a lot of the scripts would be the same as any other time, but I think it's time to kind of introduce some doubt, right? To be able to say, like, use your track record. So if you sold 20 homes in the last year, say, look, I sold 20 homes in the last year, and the people that I was talking to didn't predict that this was going to happen, and I'm on calls every day, and I'm working with people every day to study the market and see exactly what's going on. And that's where we're going to have the best version to be able to help advise you on the best strategies for your home, how we can price it correctly. If this was a market where, where it was easy to sell, we would see a lot more home sales going through and a lot more, agents that are out here doing it. So I think part of it is creating a unique value proposition in both of those situations as being the market expert.
And
Awesome.
Brian, we have a couple people who have hands up. Kathy Warnett, I'll unmute you so you can ask your question. If it works. Okay, not sure what's not working. All right, well, also someone with the iPhone says that they have a question too.
That by me. It's Amrita.
Okay.
So my
Wait.
You there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I have a specific question about a specific scenario, and I would love to pick your brain on what key things you think we could use as a rebuttal. So
Okay.
Let's say the example is you have a family who has somebody in the front lines, healthcare, right? Who are in the ER day in, day out. They're missing time with their family or sleeping at hotels because they are afraid to bring the germs home. Like, they're really impacted.
Yeah.
And you'll see on Facebook, I'm flooded with messages where I'm interacting with these people and just saying, look, I'm doing my part. Please know we're staying home. We're not going out. Because in their mind, that is the only answer to some reprieve in their family.
Yeah.
Right? Stay the hell off the road. Stay out of everybody's way so that this can go away. As the markets do start opening up, and for us, they have, like, we can't open houses, but we can list houses, right? before I used to post so much social media marketing about anytime I had any activity going on. And now I'm being very cautious because I don't want to turn people who are some way related to the health industry to get pissed at me for doing my job. So I'm playing it very delicately. But once this opens up a little bit more and I start going out, I start going back on track what I'm doing. What is the right rebuttal to have that will be able to like calm them down and illustrate that I'm really doing this to help someone who needs to buy or sell. And it's not just about me like trying to go up and like, get commission.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is kind of how we act in this situation, right? So I don't know how many. I've actually been sheltering in place quite a bit, meaning like as far as like even I don't know. I left to like go pick something up to have something like put in the back of my car,
Yeah.
And it was like the first time I had left in like 2 weeks, like left my house. You know what I mean? And what was interesting is like my view of it was like you could tell the difference. I went to 2 places. You could tell the difference of places that were like taking it seriously, and those that were kind of like, we're it's business as usual, right? So I think a lot of it has to do with like our communication of like, are we communicating to people that like we're taking the precautions that are necessary. Here's how we do, take care of ourselves and take care of our clients. And also to remind people that like there are people that will have a need to sell their home and a need to buy a home. And this is how we help them, right? I mean, it's part of it is like, as it opens up, it actually does open up like it's not really as like what is essential, but it's like, let's all be smart about it. So I think the message is, yes, we're out here because this is how I provide for myself and this is how I provide for my family. And there are a lot of people that depend on us working. So I think a part of it is like with kind of regulations change. I think it also has to, and time will tell, but I believe that it actually changes the way that we think of, whereas now it's like essential businesses only should be out doing things. Well, once our regulations change, as people are being smart about it, more people are going to be out doing things, right? So I think there'll be less stigma than like it would be today. If you're like out here selling the neighborhood, right? That's not going to be great today.
Got it.
But as things change for the rest of the world, we're going to see, I think there's a different outlook in there.
Okay, thank you.
Ira, did I see you raise your hand, or was I just imagining something?
No, I was just agreeing with what Amrita was saying.
Okay.
In terms of keeping the social media less exposed.
Yeah, so I think part of it is like, what does your exposure look like, right? I mean, so it's going to be, if you're promoting, safe practices and the things that you're doing, and you're saying like, this is a great, here's a property, or here's what some people are looking for. That's business, right? And there's a smart way to do business. So I think that's how we communicate.
Brian, there's also a question in chat.
Yeah.
Would you price the home at regular price based on today's comps, or would you discount the property based on the amount of buyers today?
In the shift book, it talks about pricing ahead of the market. So what I would be looking at is every day tracking the numbers that are going on in your particular market. What I mean by that is like, it would be good to know, your whole county or your town or whatever it is, right? But if there's a specific area you work in primarily, like if there's a geographic farm area, or if there's a zip code, a neighborhood, whatever it is, MLS area, start tracking those numbers daily. And the numbers I would track is how many properties are being put on the market, like how many new listings, how many price reductions, how many are withdrawn or expired, how many are pending each day, and then how many are sold. If you have those numbers and you're tracking them daily, you're going to see trends, right? And personally, I would just set up depending on your MLS system, you're probably like a hot sheet or a search or something where you get that every day, right? I personally would click through the price reductions and I would see, are people like, how many listings are being put on and how many prices are being reduced? If you start to see the price reductions go up, that means you need to price more aggressively. Meaning if, comparable properties are saying a property is going to be, 550,000, right? And that's where you would list it in a balanced market, but you're seeing the number of price reductions going up, right? And you're seeing homes that used to be priced at 550 going to 525 or to 530 or something. You're going to want to price competitively, meaning you want to price probably, in that scenario, I'd probably price a little bit lower because the market will dictate what the actual value of the home is, but ideally you would probably look at it and price it somewhere around 515, 520 before, because if prices are going to go down, we're going to see a succession of that. And people that are pricing at the market are usually behind if the prices are going down. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else? Anybody else has their hand raised? Any other questions for Brian? Brian is a master of scripts. One time I got on a call with Brian and I had to commit to making 9 appointments that day. And somehow I did that to myself, but Brian was amazing in giving me that little nudge. So, this is an opportunity.
Jedi mind tricks. It's good.
Exactly. So anybody else has any questions or challenges in making calls or doing their business?
I do actually. Hi, let me take off my mask. So I'm trying to negotiate this deal, and the agent, it's a little bit the house is I think a little bit higher. And we're on the lower side, and I'm not sure how the market's, I don't know how the market is because all the comps are lower than the price of the house. So how do we justify, coming up?
Are you the only offer on the table?
Yes.
Okay. So I would look at what are the comps that you are looking at that justify or give evidence to your offer.
We did, and we compared them to what her comps were that she had on the house, which were in a different town, because there's no comps that justify it for that town.
Okay.
That's where I'm getting into a little, issue, because you have to usually go in the same town. You're not going 2 towns away on the East Hill,
right?
Which is a whole different ball game than where this house is located.
Yeah, so I think there's only 2 ways to do it, as far as I know. One is we can search for evidence, right? Which is, so if you go to that other town and pull other comps, if we can look at like there's a difference of these 2 towns, that might actually help I don't know if it's the agent that doesn't understand it or the seller, right?
It might be both.
So sometimes you're able to provide a different perspective, and they're actually able to bring it on to the seller, and it helps everybody see it a different way. So you may just look at that, like what are the price differences of similar properties between those 2 towns, since that's what they're using as comps, right? Find comps where this home is that are comps in that town also, and is there a difference? So I just look like difference of geography. The second one is wait them out. That one's, I know it's not ideal, but if you're the only offer on the table, time heals those things.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate the help.
Yeah.
Guys, I just wanted to bring something to everybody's attention. We had a situation in Weehawken this weekend at a building, and I had a confirmed showing for a FaceTime appointment. And I was texted, the agent texted me just minutes before saying that the building shut down all showings because there's a confirmed COVID case in the building. And they saw realtors showing the properties the day before. And I found out 2 days afterwards that in one of the units that I was going to show, there was an agent from another company in there with 4 people total in the unit. So that alerted the neighbors to a breaking of the rules that the governor put out. So has anyone experienced anything like this? And unfortunately, I called the person's broker just to let them know, and they backed their agent, saying that there's no way that our company would do that. We don't allow in-person showings, la, la, la. Well, it happened. Anyone dealing with this?
Yes, I have a listing in the Bristol House in Hackensack, and I'm only doing virtual showings. And I have 2 requests for tomorrow, and I have to tell them that it has to be virtual. You know, I have to make them understand that they cannot be in person because the building won't allow it. I don't want to get in trouble. You know.
Oh, Karen, I appreciate that. I meant we're a building shut down all showings. They're not allowing in-person or virtual.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I know Brian had a 3:30 call. So Brian, we want to thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Thank you all. And thank you for having me on here. I see Sally there. Hi, Sally. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you all. I hope it was valuable. Anything I can do to help you, please let me know. Just know that from what I see and from all the places that all the people I've been working with, you guys are in a really special place with a great organization of people. And like I said, now is an incredible time to recognize that for ourselves and also to help other people to see that. So anything I can do to help, I'm here. Thanks again.
Thank you, Brian.
All right. Bye.
Now we have our very own Melissa Shiel, and I think she'd be, I want to share. Yesterday I was on a call with Melissa, and her energy was contagious. She is making her care calls, doing her business, thriving in this shifting market. And I think some of the questions that are on the chat, I think Melissa is quite qualified to answer those questions as to what she would do. So Melissa, hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. You look great.
Oh, thank you. Well, thanks for asking me to come on, Rachel. I feel like I'm in the same boat as everybody on this call. We're in very, very difficult times, and I'm just so grateful and thankful that I work for Keller Williams, because I don't think any of us would have survived this in a successful fashion without all the help, assistance, and support that we've gotten from our leadership. You guys are amazing.
Thanks, Melissa. So Melissa, yesterday you shared with me, what you do on a daily basis. So I'd love for you to share with everyone on where your mindset is, how you're helping your team, how you're helping your clients.
Okay, great. And, I hope this to be collaborative. I find on every call I'm on, I learn something from another agent as well. And we all learn from each other. And that's what this is all about. So we've had some good successes in this COVID era. We've had a lot of disappointments, but we've had a lot of really great successes. And I think I'm doing what everybody else is doing, staying positive, keeping my eye on my own ball, focusing on the goals that are important to me and my team, and kind of keeping the noise at a distance. And what I mean by that is when we first came into this, there was so much coming at us. It was confusing, it was distracting, and it was a lot of noise. And so I sat down with my team and I said, we need to just focus on our own goals and missions and continue to do what we've always been doing. The job hasn't changed, just the environment has changed. And so that's what we've been doing. So we've, our goal and our mission is still the same. We are still looking, we have to support our clients. So that is our number one focus. So anybody that was listing a home, selling a home, or in the process already, those are the clients that we're paying. Those are our A clients. We're over servicing them and giving them so much attention, because that's what we're here to do. We're here to sell homes, and we're here to help our clients to buy or sell a home, as Brian mentioned. So we couldn't stop doing that. And if someone came to us and said, we want to sell a home or we want to buy a home, we had to, these were our very motivated buyers and sellers, we had to find a way to do that. But we had to find a way to do that in the safest and most controlled environment that we could, because more important is everyone's health. But if somebody said, I need to sell my home, I needed to figure out how to do that. And that's what we've been doing. So that was our number one, focus on our clients that were already in the pipeline, and the ones that were ready to go. And number two, what we did, we did our care calls like crazy. We did the CCC calls, care, compassion, and common sense. And we called all of our databases. We are continuing to call all of our databases and let them know, you know, how much that we're here for them in any way that they might need us, whether just an update on real estate or to buy them dinner or supplies that they might need. And then the third thing that we did is we focused on command. We decided this is a great time to really sink ourselves into command because we already love it, and we want to make sure that we're fully ensconced in it when we come out of this. And so we are doing a lot of command work, at least an hour a day. And then we also picked areas that we wanted to brush up our skills. Our environment was changing. My environment's changing a little bit. I'm working with more buyers as well as sellers now because there's more buyers out there. So I listened to Chris G's buyer presentation. I also listened to a couple of the other buyer presentations that were shared through all of these classes that we're doing. So those were our focuses, and we've been successful not only in, you know, getting command up to date, brushing up on our skills, but also listing and selling homes. So should I talk about the two that we just did, Rachel? Any questions so far, guys? Okay.
There's a question in the chat from Allison. It says, would you circle prospect in a neighborhood where you just sold a home recently? If so, what would the conversation slash script look like during this time?
So we're being very cautious on our circle prospecting and our expireds and our FSBOs. But when we are doing it, it comes from being a resource and giving information, and then offering assistance or help if need be. But I'm not doing like mailings, you know, to the neighborhoods. It's very selective circle prospecting, because there's a lot of people out there that really don't want you to go out, you know, that have a different view on this, or as Amrita was saying, you know, are staying in and not working. So the circle prospecting is at a minimum. How do you feel about that? You agree? Is that what you guys are sensing as well?
Thank you. Yes, that's how we're handling it now. I just didn't know. I was hesitant on making the calls because I didn't want to come across insensitive. My intention would be to come across as informative and, as you said, as a resource. I just wanted to hear how you were handling it.
Informative and helpful. And even, you know, with the clients, you know, the 8 clients that want to list and sell, you know, we're doing this because you want to. I recently listed a house on Friday. It was a young family that I met at an open house about a month ago. They have 3 young children and she's pregnant with her 4th. And I said, do you guys really want to sell? I wouldn't recommend doing it in this environment. And they said, we really want to sell and we want to sell now. So I listed their house on Friday, and I said that anybody that comes in has to, number 1, sign the COVID disclaimer. Number 2, be pre-approved with nothing to sell. Bring their own mask. I provided the booties and the gloves, and we set up 2 showing blocks for Saturday and Sunday. Saturday 12 to 3 and Sunday 1 to 4. Everybody could come in with a confirmed appointment through showing time. And I told the agents they don't even have to come. They can just send their client. I opened the house, turned on all the lights, opened all the closet doors, put up signs that said, do not touch anything. And we had 15 showings in 2 days on this property, and that resulted in 3 offers. So if somebody comes to you and needs to sell their house, that's our job. So we have to do it. And you just have to do it in a very safe and very controlled environment and know that it's going to result in offers. So that was one really good success that we had this weekend. Any questions on that? And we got over asked, by the way. And it was a good question that came up a few minutes ago with Brian about pricing. And the conversation that I'm having with my clients is, and it's such a great opportunity to get them to price it ahead of the market. Listen, if you really need to sell at this time, you really need to price your house right. So if we were thinking of selling it at, listing it at 725, let's list it at 695. It's going to naturally go where it's going to go anyway, but let's price it to sell so that you have minimal people through your home. You don't risk, your health or the health of others, and we get your house sold. So that's the conversation I'm having with my clients regarding pricing. It's got to be priced right. So we also put another listing on about 2 weeks ago that we just were selling virtually. It was an older couple. They had to sell, and we did all the showings virtually. We got an offer in writing without them seeing the home. And once we negotiated the price, we did let them come back in and see the home before we went into attorney review. So it was a townhouse in Teaneck, which is much easier to sell virtually than a single family home, but we were able to do it, and the seller was very, very happy. Have you guys had any experience with the virtual showings? Questions on that?
I know Jennifer Parsekian did a virtual listing presentation and got a $2 million listing. Congratulations. And she's going to be actually teaching a class this week on how to do virtual listing presentations. And, our top agents, like you can see Jen, Melissa, they're, embracing the change and helping the clients do what they want to do. If a client is asking you on questions about real estate, means they need direction, and it is our job and our duty to help them. So that was great advice, Melissa. There's a question for you on how many days prior did you list on the MLS?
For the one this weekend, 1 day. I put it on a Friday, and there was reasons I had to wait till Friday to list it. My normal listing period is I list on a Wednesday. I start showings on a Friday. I always do the open house on Sunday, and I hope to have multiple offers by Monday.
Fabulous.
Because of this family, there was something they were dealing with. We couldn't list until Friday. So it went on Friday morning at 7 a.m. And I think I was booked for the whole weekend by Saturday morning. So, and I also did virtual tours during those days too. So agents would call me and say, I have a client that wants to see it. I would FaceTime their client and walk them through the home. So it was a combination of agent showings and also virtual showings. And it really worked out. It really worked out very well. The best part of it was when the agent that successfully was awarded the home, she said to me, she goes, you gave me a path. You showed me how this can be done in this type of environment. And that made me feel really good because, it is tough. I went back and forth in my own head on whether or not to list, how am I going to list this home? But when you think it through and you do it with confidence and you put together a schedule, it works.
Melissa, you've had Zoom meetings with your buyers and sellers, right?
Yes.
You try to get on face-to-face versus just the 3C calls. You try and say, let's get on the table. Let's make those Zoom meetings happen, right?
Yes. So I'm working on a couple of, so the other thing that is so important right now is to recognize where your client wants to be. So if they were ready to list 2 months ago and then COVID happened, do not force them. Do not put any pressure on somebody that isn't completely ready to do this. The trust will go away. It's so important for them to know that you respect whatever decision they make. And we have, as most of you, this was a fabulous start to a year. January and February were banner, stellar months for our team. We had a ton of business in the pipeline. So many of these sellers have decided, to hold off. So I'm having weekly meetings with them, giving them the market updates, like Brian said. So I send them everything that's coming on the market, everything that's going that's going under contract, everything that's closing in their towns. And then we meet on a weekly basis via Zoom to just discuss, you know, where they are, what their feelings are, and how we're going to move forward. It's so important to stay in close contact at this time with all of your clients that are now have fallen into that B level versus A level. So I'm doing Zoom meetings all the time. Also with my team, we're meeting every week on a Zoom call.
Melissa, there's a question for you. How did you do photos for virtual showings?
Okay, so when we went into COVID, we changed our policy, and every photo shoot we did, and we used front door photography for the most part, had to be full photos plus walkthrough video. So it's an extra $200, but it's so worth it. So front door is continuing to do photo shoots. The house has to be vacant, and they're doing, so I'm having them do the photos and the walkthrough video. So that's what the clients are able to look at in order to get, you know, make their decision that this might be a house for them. And then once they make that decision, then I meet them and we do a FaceTime walkthrough. And then if that is successful, they have to come and see the house. I think it's very hard, other than a townhouse, to sell a home without actually seeing it. Do you guys agree?
Yeah.
It's super hard. Yeah.
So
did that answer your question?
Did it answer, Andy? Yep, she's giving a thumbs up.
Good.
When posting an open house, did you state in agent remarks that it was an appointment only for the open house?
Correct. So it wasn't an open house. I want to make that really clear because we are not allowed to do open houses. So what I posted was a virtual open house, which, as you guys know, New Jersey MLS has a slot for that. So I posted a virtual open house, and then in the agent remarks or the showing comments, I said we are doing showings on Saturday from 12 to 3, Sunday from 1 to 4, with confirmed appointment through showing time. And then I also, when the appointments were made, I called the agent, got the pre-approvals, gave them all the criteria for the showing. And I said, you don't even have to come as the agent unless you want to. I'm more than happy. I literally sat in my car at the front of the house and just let people walk in, go through it, and walk out. So that's how we did it.
Excellent. Ira had a question on, and you do the FaceTime walkthrough, that's a question mark, and you go into the house and do that?
Yes, yes. For this house, they cleared out for those 2 days. They just went and, but yeah, I also happen to have a lot of vacant houses on the market right now. New construction, we just went into attorney review on one last week, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm going there. I'm telling the buyer's agent not to even come. I open the house. I turn on all the lights. I open all the closet doors, and I sit in my car in the driveway and let the buyers go through the house.
And Melissa,
Yes.
you shared with me the other day when we were talking about all this, and I think this is an important point to make. One of the reasons that you were there sitting in your car was to make sure that the people going in were following the protocol.
Correct.
With the gloves and the mask and the booty.
And we had to get the signed disclosure as well.
Yeah.
I got the signed disclosure, and as Sally said, all of those other things.
Yeah.
So Sherry asked to that same, scenario that, so the buyers went through an occupied house unattended, or
They
did you
did.
go with those that did not have an agent?
I did let them go. The people that came without an agent, I just stood outside the front door and let them not to touch anything. It wasn't a huge house, and my sellers knew that I would be doing this. They removed any valuables from the house, and they fully agreed to this. They fully bought into it. So, that's how motivated they were. So again, it comes down to motivation, and these sellers were very motivated, and they trusted the plan that I presented to them, and they knew that, that they hoped that it would result in offers, and it did.
I think it's important too to emphasize what you just said, Melissa, that everything you did was with your seller's full approval.
Full approval.
Yeah.
And I ran the whole plan, to them first and got their approval. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just about operating in the safest fashion that we can in order to meet our clients' goals. And that's what we have to do. You know, we still have to, you know, we still have buyers that want to buy and sellers that want to sell. And if they're highly motivated, that's our job, is to help.
So finding the motivated, that's what you're doing. That's exactly.
That's what you have to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, but we're doing it by making care calls, and, you know, we had a huge pipeline, and that's part of it. You know, we had worked so hard in January and February that when March rolled around, we were killing it, as so many of us were. It was going to be a banner year for everybody. I've heard that from so many agents. And so we just had a really big pipeline. Listen, we've had some major disappointments too. You know, we've had listings fall off, and, you know, we've had stuff that has fallen apart. So I don't want to paint this totally rosy picture, but we've had a lot of successes as well. And, you know, it's just about doing our job. We're doing the same job. We're just doing it in a different environment that requires us to use so much more care and caution. And that's what we have to do. And
Alyssa, there are a couple of questions for you. If the seller didn't agree and wanted you to go inside with the buyer, how would you have handled that?
I would have done it. I had a mask. I had my glasses on, a mask, gloves. I brought booties that the buyers took with them. They didn't leave them. Everything left with them, and I would have walked through the house with them. And you know, nobody was allowed to touch anything. And if they needed something opened or moved, they were instructed to, you know, to get me, and I would do that. And this wasn't a big house, so it really was a lot easier than you might think.
Do you have the seller sign anything with your plan fully approved?
No, I just put it to them in an email. We thought about it, you know, they thought about it, I thought about it, and I was so hesitant, and I was a little stressed out about it too, because it is a big responsibility to, you know, with a young family and a pregnant wife. And I said, this is the best I can offer you, and they went with it.
You know, the one thing that I'm seeing, and it's in the shift, and it's in Pivot Shift Ahead. Melissa, what are the classes that you are taking that have given you, you know, so much more? Now, I know you attend the Pivot Shift Ahead every morning at 8 o'clock, because even before I could finish my sentence yesterday, you were like, 8 a.m. I'm on.
I walk at like 7 in the morning, 7:30. So I just put it on my phone, and it is amazing. It's from all over the country. And so you're getting so many different perspectives. And I just find it to be very uplifting and motivating. But I want to say one other thing that I've done. And I went, as we know, we're all going back to basics. And I think about it, and what really does that mean? What are the basics? Do we know what the basics are? You know, many of us come into this field from other industries that are unrelated to sales. And, you know, I came from a sales background. That's what I've done in my whole career. So I went back to the books that made me successful in the late 80s. And I started reading all my selling books, how to close, how to overcome objections, how to do a needs analysis, how to support my people from the beginning of the sale to the close. And Tom Hopkins, many of you probably don't even know that name, but that's who taught me how to sell. So I went back to all the Tom Hopkins books, and I would highly recommend that anybody right now do that. Go to pick a sales book. Understand the basics of selling, because that is what we are. We're salespeople. That's what we do all day long. We love it. But some of us don't know exactly how to do it. And I found that to be really helpful to me, to go back to the basics, the real basics. We say lead gen, we say time block, but really like how to qualify a prospect, how to, with the words to choose, how to close, the alternate close, the puppy dog close, the alternate close, like, you know, really get back to those basics and understand what you're doing in order to do it at the highest possible level. And so every day I'm working on my sales skills.
That's awesome. There's a question from Sylvia, says, without open houses, how are you lead generating for your future pipeline?
So I had some luck lead genning through my database, and it's not easy. I mean, you know, we look at what our year was going to be in January and February, and I threw my business plan out the window, and I've adjusted, and I've set my own expectations, just as we set our clients' expectations. And I said, I know I'm not going to hit my numbers, but I have to continue with my lead gen. But mainly, almost 100%, I'm doing it through my database, and I'm having a lot of luck. We've heard calls, we've heard things like this over the last few weeks. I called a client, I said, how are you? She said, we were just talking about you. I said, really? Yes, we want to sell. They have a $1.3 million home. I sold it to them maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and they're ready, for job reasons, they're moving out of the area. So that's where I'm doing a lot of my lead gen. I'm looking for opportunities in different places. You know, I'm looking for homes that look empty, or look, you know, I'm driving around because it's crazy what I'm doing right now. Just trying to find any opportunity, you know, that I might have for a listing. And
I have to say, your mindset, your energy is contagious. And I hope everybody is feeling the way I'm feeling. I feel motivated just seeing, you know, your body language, how you are finding ways to do your business and helping your clients and doing Zoom meetings. And it's like nothing is stopping you. You're finding solutions versus stating problems. And I think give you a lot of credit for it, Melissa.
Thank you. And can I say one more thing, or are we out of time?
No, there's one more question. It says, what books do you recommend on how best to close?
So that's so great that you asked me that. So so one of the books, and I'm trying to find it, that I love is Tom Hopkins' How to Master the Art of Selling. And it's a book that's very generic. It's geared to real estate, but it truly is. You can download it on Audible and listen to it while you're in the car. And he provides you with words and phrases that you've never heard before, you probably haven't heard before. And I just think it's an excellent, like very basic selling skill book on how to, he offers many different closing techniques. He also offers many, you know, getting over objection techniques too. So Tom Hopkins, How to Master the Art of Selling.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Hi, thank you so much for doing that. You're very sweet. So I'm trying to do the same thing, the drive around, because I don't have so much on my pipeline. A lot of people are like ghosting and dead in this time. So I'm trying to drive around too. And I do see a lot of things being built and vacant. What do you do? Do you leave some? I mean, this is the time of Corona. So for me to leave something, I'm thinking twice, you know, I'm not doing the sales pitch where I'm just going to leave my card. But do you do that? Do you leave your whatever, your information?
Totally. I always leave my information, but I rarely get calls on my information. But I always will leave a card, or I have a couple of sheets that, you know, like that I use about, you know, just like some very basics, you know, sheets that I offer to people that tell them about what I do and how I do it. So I'll leave that, I'll leave a folder, but I'm scrappy. You know, I'll look up the address. There's so many different ways that, you know, I'll look for people like working at the house. I'll go back 5 and 6 times and see what I can find. I don't have a life, I know, but this is what I do. I love what I do, and I love to find new business. And so that's, you know, I'll drive past the house 10 times till I see somebody there. or I'll leave a card. I'll go to the tax record. I'll use the new.
Well, usually that's what we do. But the question is, like, this is the kind of time that you don't want to look bad in your community, saying,
No,
look
you
what she's
don't.
doing, you know.
Yeah. However, most of those, a lot of the ones that we're talking about are people that really are going to need to sell and will appreciate the help, you know, and will appreciate. I've had a lot of people reach out to me as well lately, just in the last 2 weeks. I feel things are opening up quite a bit. I don't know how you guys feel. And I have people calling me saying, you know, we think we're almost ready. Give me another update on where the market is. So.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thanks.
Melissa, what were you about to say before, you know, we bring Everett?
Real quick, there was something that I learned that I really feel I should communicate to everybody. I learned it on a mastermind last week, and it's something that's always in my mind, but it's about really, you know, our clients have to trust us, and we have to come from a place where we're helping them. It's not about us at all. It's always about them and their needs. And on one of the calls I was on last week, Bill Boswell said, you have to be willing to lose the deal. You have to be willing to walk away from that deal if that's what your clients want to do, and not care at all about how it affects you. And you have to be able to say to that, because there's a lot of people changing their minds in this market, and or getting nervous and having cognitive dissonance and wondering if this is really the way they should go. And as soon as you put it out there that it's okay, if you need to walk away from this, I fully support what you're doing, and we will find something else when the time is right. It kind of lifts the whole stress off of them, and typically they're going to go through and close on that house, but the trust that you have just developed with that client is far greater than any closing of a house. And that stayed with me, and I've done that through my career. I don't know if Melinda Kelly's on this call, but she was my client originally, and I remember having that discussion with her when they were going through some tough inspection items. And it's so important for your client, you know, your buyer, to know you make the decision that's right for you, and everything else will fall into place. Does that make sense to everybody?
100%.
Do you remember Bill Boss? I loved that.
He was amazing.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you so much. I hope it was productive, and
we've gotten a lot of, you know, telling you, thank you, Melissa. Melissa, you were great. Thank you. Awesome, my friend Melissa. So Melissa,
Thanks.
Thank you for your time, and
thank you. Stay well, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.